My own mother told me I'd ruin my sister's wedding atmosphere. She had no idea how spectacularly I was about to prove her right, not by showing up, but by living my own truth. The sheer shock, the anger, the betrayal, it became the catalyst for everything that followed. I stared at my phone, the words burning into my eyes. Julia, I think it's better if you don't come to Vanessa's wedding. You'd ruin the atmosphere. We want everything perfect for her special day. Mom, my own mother. My own mother typed those words and hit send without a second thought, casually discarding me like trash. I set the phone down on my desk at the Marine Biology Research Center where I worked, my hands trembling. Outside my office window, the Seattle waterfront stretched gray and infinite, perfectly matching the storm brewing inside me. At 29, I was still the disappointment. The daughter who dared to pursue coral reef ecosystems instead of a prestigious law career. The one who dressed for the ocean, not the country club. I was the sister who just didn't fit the picture-perfect image my family so desperately wanted to project. Vanessa was getting married in 6 weeks. My younger sister, by 3 years, had landed the ultimate catch, exactly the kind of man our parents had always dreamed of. Gregory, a corporate finance executive, trust fund baby, corner office. Their engagement had been announced at the country club. Naturally. The wedding? An exclusive vineyard outside Portland, 200 guests, a price tag that would make my entire annual salary look like pocket change. And I, the inconvenient one, was uninvited. 2 days earlier, I'd been quietly removed from the family group chat. I only even knew because my cousin Bethany, bless her heart, had accidentally sent me a screenshot complaining about a bridesmaid dress. The chat was a flurry of excited planning, flower arrangements, menu tastings, and not a single mention of me. Like I'd never existed. Then Killian walked in, my colleague from the oceanography department, and the man I'd been quietly dating for 8 months. His dark hair was damp from the Seattle rain, and he carried 2 steaming coffees. He took one look at my face, a silent question in his eyes, and gently set the cups down. What happened? He asked. My family knew nothing about him. Why would they? They never asked about my life, let alone who was in it. I handed him the phone, watching his jaw tighten as he read. Your mother actually wrote this word for word? He finally asked, his voice low. Julia, this is... He trailed off, clearly searching for a word that wouldn't shatter me further. Killian, with his kind Irish soul, still struggled with the casual cruelty of some American families. It's typical, I whispered, my voice raw. This is how they've always treated me. He pulled a chair up, his eyes unwavering. Tell me. And so I did. I poured out years of being the daughter who just didn't measure up. Vanessa, the golden child, crowned from birth. Prettier, more charming, and natural at the social games our parents valued above all else. Every comparison found me wanting. You're too serious, Julia, Mom would sigh. Why can't you be more like your sister? I told him how, at 16, I won a national science competition, and my parents missed the awards because they were at Vanessa's dance recital. How they conveniently forgot my college graduation because they were helping Vanessa move. Even when my research on marine ecosystem preservation was published in a major journal. A massive career milestone. Dad just mumbled, "That's nice, honey," before immediately pivoting to Vanessa's promotion. Every achievement I've ever had has been invisible to them. I finally said, my voice barely a whisper. But Vanessa sneezes, and they throw a parade. Killian reached across the desk, his hand warm over mine. You know, this says everything about them, he said softly, and absolutely nothing about you, right? I wanted to believe him. God, I desperately wanted to believe him. But 3 decades of being treated as less than had carved deep, painful grooves into my very sense of self-worth. The worst part, I admitted, was that I didn't even dislike Vanessa. She wasn't deliberately cruel. She just existed in this perfect, privileged bubble where everything came easily, and she truly didn't understand why I couldn't just be endlessly happy for her. Are you going to respond? Killian asked, pulling me back. I stared at the message again. A part of me, a small, wounded part, wanted to unleash a torrent of cutting words to make my mother feel just a fraction of the pain she'd inflicted. But I knew it was useless. She just brand me overly sensitive, the difficult daughter, making everything about myself. No, I finally said, the word heavy. I'm not going to respond. Killian studied me, his gaze searching. What are you thinking? I was thinking about how I had spent my entire life chasing their approval, swallowing every slight, every dismissal, every agonizing moment of being overlooked. I had convinced myself that if I just worked hard enough, achieved enough, they would finally see me. But they never would. That message, those cold, clear words, had finally made it undeniable. I'm thinking, I said slowly, the words finding their strength, that I'm done caring what they think. A slow smile spread across Killian's face, but there was a flicker of caution in his eyes. Should I be worried about that look? What look? I asked, genuinely confused. The one that usually appears right before you solve an impossible research problem. The one that means you've stopped accepting the situation as it is and started planning how to change it. I laughed, a genuine, startled sound. He knew me better than I knew myself sometimes. My phone buzzed again, this time a message from Vanessa. Mom told me she uninvited you. I'm sorry, Jules, but honestly, it might be for the best. The wedding is going to be really formal and sophisticated, and you know how you get awkward at those events. I don't want anything to go wrong on my big day. I showed it to Killian. His expression darkened instantly. That's worse than your mother's message, he stated. He was right. Mom's cruelty came from a place of shallow values and ingrained favoritism. But Vanessa's casual dismissal, masked in false sympathy, cut so much deeper. It confirmed my oldest, darkest fear. Even my sister saw me as an embarrassment. That evening, perched on Killian's couch, overlooking the twinkling lights of Elliott Bay, I watched ferries cross the dark water. His apartment, unlike the sterile perfection of my parents' house, was warm, lived in, filled with books, plants, and photos of his travels. Tell me about your family, I blurted out almost desperately. He looked up from the stove, surprised. You know about my family. Tell me again, I insisted. He wiped his hands, sat beside me. Well, there's my ma, who still calls every Sunday, demanding to know if I'm eating properly. Maida, who sends photos of every fish he catches. My 3 sisters, who never let me forget I'm a baby, even at 31. He smiled, a genuine, soft smile. And they all flew from Ireland for my graduation, even though it cost a fortune. Ma cried through the whole ceremony. Drove me mad for 2 weeks, and I loved every minute. I leaned my head on his shoulder, a profound ache in my chest. That sounds nice. It is, he said, wrapping an arm around me. And you deserve that too, Julia. You deserve people who show up for you. Later, as we cleaned up, he asked, have you given any thought to what I asked you last month? I froze, a dish suspended halfway to the drying rack. For weeks ago, he proposed, right here in this kitchen. No grand gesture, just him holding my hands, looking into my eyes, telling me he loved me and wanted forever. I'd asked for time, and he'd been so patient. But tonight, with Vanessa's wedding looming and my family's rejection burning fresh, something snapped into focus. Yes, I said, the word a whisper. He froze. Yes, I want to marry you. The dish slipped from my hands, clattering into the sink. He was across the kitchen in 2 strides, pulling me into his arms, lifting me off the ground. When he finally set me down, he was grinning like a child on Christmas morning. You're serious? You're saying yes. I'm saying yes. He kissed me, and for the first time in days, the tight, suffocating knot of hurt in my chest loosened. This man saw me. He valued my mind, my passion, my work. He didn't need me to be someone else. We should celebrate, he said, then hesitated. Do you want to tell your family? I thought about it for approximately 3 seconds. No, they've made it clear I'm not part of Vanessa's celebration. I don't need their involvement in mine. What about your friends? He asked. A slow smile spread across my face. That's different. And actually, I have an idea. Over the next week, I pour myself into planning. Not a wedding like Vanessa's. No pretentious vineyard ceremonies or rigid place settings for me. I wanted something authentic, something that reflected who Killian and I truly were. My first call was to Bethany, my cousin. She was the only one in the family I genuinely liked, probably because she too had often been overshadowed by Vanessa's golden glow. "You're getting married?" she shrieked down the phone. "Julia, that's amazing. When?" "8 weeks from now, right after Vanessa's wedding." A beat of silence. "Your mom doesn't know, does she?" "Nope." Bethany let out a delighted cackle. "Oh, this is delicious. Tell me everything." I spent the next few days reaching out to the people who truly mattered in my life. My research team, friends from grad school, colleagues, and several scientists I deeply admired who had become mentors. These are my chosen family. And then I made a call that would change everything. Dr. Patricia Lawrence, a legendary marine biologist. I'd idolized her since I was a teenager, devouring her papers on ocean acidification. 2 years ago, I'd nervously introduced myself at a conference, and we'd stayed in touch. "Julia," she answered, her voice warm. "What a pleasant surprise." "Dr. Lawrence, I have a favor to ask. It's a bit unusual." I'm intrigued. I told her about the wedding, about wanting to celebrate our community, our shared passion for the ocean. "I would be honored," she said immediately. "But I have a better idea. Let me make some calls." "Calls?" I blinked. She chuckled. "Trust me, my dear. If you're going to do this, let's do it properly." I had no idea what she meant, but my heart started a race with a thrilling, terrifying possibility. By the way, if you're still with me, make sure to hit subscribe. More unbelievable stories are coming. For the next month, Vanessa's wedding dominated every conversation I wasn't supposed to hear. Bethany kept forwarding me screenshots from the group chat, part loyalty, part pure amusement. "Your mother just spent 3 paragraphs discussing napkin folds," one read. "Vanessa is having a meltdown because the florist suggested cream roses instead of white," another exclaimed. I watched this performance of perfection from a distance, and I realized, with a surprising sense of calm, that I felt utterly detached. A few months ago, this exclusion would have crushed me. Now, as I planned my own unique celebration, I mostly felt relief. Relief that I wouldn't have to endure 5 hours of performative elegance. My own preparations, meanwhile, moved forward like a quiet tide. Dr. Lawrence had indeed made calls, and the responses were stunning. 3 other prominent marine biologists, a documentary filmmaker who'd feature my research, even a National Geographic photographer I'd worked with in Australia, all enthusiastically confirmed. "Julia," Killian murmured one evening, reviewing the guest list. "Do you realize who these people are? These are some of the most respected ocean conservation researchers in the world. There are people on this list with Wikipedia pages." I shrugged, a warm, bright bloom spreading in my chest. These were people who valued my work, who saw its importance, who wanted to celebrate me. The venue materialized almost magically. A colleague offered his family's property on Whidbey Island, a stunning beach with views of the Puget Sound. Nothing fancy, just raw, authentic beauty. We'd have the ceremony at sunset, right on the sand. "Very you," Bethany approved, seeing photos. "Your mom would absolutely hate it." I smiled. "That's not why I'm doing this. But it's a nice bonus." Killian's family booked their flights from Ireland. His mother called me directly, her voice overflowing with such genuine warmth that I actually cried after hanging up. The contrast between her enthusiastic acceptance and my own family's cold rejection couldn't have been sharper. 2 weeks before Vanessa's big day, I ran into my father at a downtown coffee shop. He looked genuinely surprised, like I was an acquaintance he'd vaguely remembered. "Julia, how are you?" "Fine, Dad. Busy with wedding preparations." I paused, letting the silence hang, waiting. Would he mention the uninvitation? Apologize? Acknowledge the cruelty of it? He did not. "Well," he said finally, "I should get going. Good to see you." He left without asking about my job, my life, anything. I watched him walk away and felt nothing. Not anger, not sadness. Just a mild sense of closure. This was him. This was them. And I was finally accepting it. Vanessa's wedding day arrived, a stunning June Saturday. I spent it on Whidbey Island with Killian, swimming in the cold Puget Sound, finalizing our own ceremony details. Bethany's photos buzzed occasionally, cascading white flowers, Vanessa in an elaborate gown, formally dressed guests. It looks beautiful, Killian observed. It does, I agreed. And it genuinely did. Vanessa looked happy, the setting elegant, everything perfect. And I felt no bitterness, no anger, just a profound, surprising peace. Somewhere in planning my own wedding, I'd simply stopped caring about hers. That evening, Bethany called. Your mom asked where you were today. What did you tell her? Nothing, just that I hadn't seen you. But Jules, she seemed almost confused you didn't show up anyway, despite being uninvited. Like she expected you to come, to grovel. Sound about right, I sighed. The whole thing was exactly what you'd expect. Speeches about how perfect Vanessa is, how successful Gregory is, how proud your parents are. Not one mention of you, of course. Obviously, your mom kept gushing about it being the wedding of her dreams, absolutely flawless. Bethany paused. Jules, I'm so glad you didn't go. You would have hated it. I was glad too, because while Vanessa had her performative perfection, I was building something real. A guest list of people who actually knew me, who valued me for who I was. 3 days. After Vanessa's vineyard spectacle, Dr. Lawrence called me. Julia, I've been contacted by someone interesting. A producer from a streaming platform. They're developing a series on ocean conservation, and they want to feature your coral reef research. My heart hammered against my ribs. Seriously? Very seriously. They loved your paper. Want to interview you, film your work. She paused. They also asked if there were any upcoming significant events in your life. A slow, wicked smile spread across my face. Actually, there might be. I thought so. Dr. Lawrence chuckled. I might have mentioned you were getting married soon. They want to feature it, Julia. A wedding ceremony that brings together ocean conservation researchers, showing the personal side of scientists saving our planet. They think it could be powerful content. I thought about my small, authentic beach wedding, the guest list of incredible minds, the genuine celebration we'd planned. And I thought about my birth family, who saw me as an embarrassment, who had exiled me from Vanessa's perfect day. Tell them yes, I said, the words firm and clear. Excellent. I'll make the arrangements. Oh, and Julia, they have a substantial social media presence. Millions of followers. Whatever they feature tends to go viral. After he hung up, I sat completely still, processing. Killian found me on the couch, staring into space. What's wrong? He asked. I looked at him, a wide grin breaking out. Nothing's wrong, I said slowly. Something's just very, very right. 3 days before the wedding, the production team arrived on Whidbey Island. 5 people, discreet cameras, led by Sophia, a woman with kind eyes. We're not here for a spectacle, she assured me. We want authentic. The intertwining of personal commitment and professional dedication. Love and conservation. Killian and I showed them the beach. Golden afternoon light, calm water. Simple white chairs, no elaborate decor. Perfect, Sophia breathed, framing shots. Tell me about your guests. I handed her the list. Her eyebrows climbed higher. Dr. Patricia Lawrence, Professor James Okoya, Dr. Yuki Tanaka. Julia, do you realize this is essentially a who's who of marine conservation science? They're my friends and mentors, I replied. They're legends, she grinned. This is incredible content. Our audience will love it. A young scientist marrying the love of her life, surrounded by the community working to save our oceans. Over the next few days, they filmed B-roll, interviewed early guests, captured Killian and me walking the beach, talking research. It felt so natural, unforced. They were documenting our lives, not staging a performance. Killian's family arrived 2 days before the ceremony. His mother swept me into a hug. His father shook my hand warmly, and his 3 sisters immediately adopted me. Finally, another woman to balance out this family. Siobhan, the eldest, declared. That evening, at a local restaurant, the production team filmed the laughter, the stories, the easy warmth of his family. I excused myself to the restroom, and there they were, 3 missed calls from my mother. The first voicemail, a thinly veiled attempt at nonchalance. Julia, we heard a rumor you're getting married this weekend. Obviously, that can't be true. Call me. The second, sharper. Julia, this is ridiculous. You need to inform your family. We have a right to know. The third, almost comical. Bethany says you're actually getting married on Saturday, on a beach. A beach wedding? And you've invited complete strangers, but not your own family? Unacceptable. I smiled, a cold, hard smile, and deleted all 3 messages. Back at the table, Killian's mother was showing everyone photos of their home in County Cork. Later that night, Bethany called. Your mom's losing her mind. She's calling everyone trying to get info. I got her messages. No, I'm not calling her back. Good. She doesn't deserve to be part of this. Bethany hesitated. Jules, I have to tell you something. Vanessa knows too, about your wedding and about the documentary crew. My stomach tightened. Ow! Someone from a production company posted a cryptic teaser. Tag the island. Vanessa, being obsessed with judging other people's weddings, follows every venue. She put 2 and 2 together. What did she say? She's furious. Thinks you're trying to upstage her. Demanding to know why you're having a media wedding right after hers. I laughed, the absurdity of it washing over me. Everything isn't about her. Try telling her that, Bethany muttered. Your whole family's in an uproar. They're saying you're being deliberately hurtful, stealing Vanessa's thunder, selfish, attention-seeking. They're projecting. Absolutely. But Jules, I think they might try to crash the wedding. I considered it. Let them come, I said calmly. They're not on the guest list. But if they want to make fools of themselves in front of some of the most respected scientists in the world, that's their choice. You're scary when you're calm like this, Bethany whispered. I'm done being hurt by them, Bethany. Whatever they do, it says everything about who they are and nothing about who I am. The day before the wedding, Dr. Lawrence arrived with an entourage. I watched from the beach house as distinguished scientists, authors of groundbreaking papers, advisors to governments, dedicated protectors of our oceans, piled out of cars, greeting each other like long-lost friends. They were here. For my wedding. Dr. Lawrence found me. Julia, I brought someone special. She introduced me to Dr. Elizabeth Ramos, a marine biologist whose work on ocean acidification had literally changed policy worldwide. 70 years old, with silver hair and eyes that pierced. I've read your research on coral bleaching, Dr. Ramos said, shaking my hand. Impressive work. You're asking the right questions. Thank you. I managed emotion thick in my throat. That means everything. Patricia tells me you come from a family that doesn't appreciate your work. I blinked, surprised by her directness. That's true. Then they're fools, she stated, a kind smile softening her face. But you've built your own family here. Look around. These people respect you. They value what you contribute. That's worth more than blood relations who can't see your worth. Tears pricked my eyes. Thank you. That evening, the team filmed interviews. I watched Dr. Lawrence speak passionately about the next generation of scientists, specifically citing my research. Professor Okoya championed young women in marine biology, holding me up as an example. Then Sophia pulled me aside. Julia, I need you to understand. This content will reach millions. Our platform has a massive following. This story, your wedding, your work, this community, it's exactly the narrative that resonates. Are you prepared for that kind of attention? I thought of my family, their obsession with appearances, their shallow values, their exclusion of me from Vanessa's perfect wedding because I was an embarrassment. I looked Sophia dead in the eye. Yes, I said, my voice firm. I'm prepared. Saturday morning dawned clear and breathtaking. I woke to waves and gulls. Bethany still asleep in the next bed. She'd arrived late, declaring herself my maid of honor. Big day, she yawned. How are you feeling? Good. Really good, actually. Nerves about Killian? None. About your family potentially showing up? A little. If they do, I'll handle them. You just focus on your day. The production team arrived. They filmed me in a simple white dress. Comfortable, elegant, utterly me. Bethany did my hair. You look beautiful, she said, and more importantly, happy. Guests started arriving. Distinguished scientists emerging from rental cars, the crew weaving among them. Then I saw it. My mother's car. She, my father, Vanessa, Gregory. Even from a distance, I saw Mom's disapproving frown as she surveyed the casual beach setting. They actually came, Bethany whispered. Of course they did. They couldn't bear to miss this. Sophia appeared. Julia, there are people here not on the guest list, claiming to be family. They are, I said calmly. Do you want them to stay? A part of me craved revenge to have them escorted away, just as they'd done to me. But a far more satisfying idea bloomed. Let them stay, I said. Seat them in the back. And Sophia? She met my gaze. Make sure your cameras capture their reactions. Sophia's smile was slow, knowing. I like how you think. At 5 o'clock, as the golden hour light embraced the beach, I stood in the house. Through the window, I saw them all. Over 100 guests, so many faces recognizable from journals, from TED Talks, from the forefront of ocean science. And in the very last row, looking utterly bewildered, sat my birth family. Dr. Lawrence appeared. Ready? If you'll have me, I'd be honored to walk you down the aisle. My father was 20 yards away, but he'd never truly been present in my life. Dr. Lawrence, however, had. I'd love that, I whispered. We walked the sandy aisle. I saw Killian, his eyes shining, his family beaming, my colleagues and friends smiling, and in the back, my mother's face, cycling through shock and confusion as she finally registered the caliber of the guests. The ceremony was conducted by a professor who knew us both. He spoke of ocean currents, of purpose, of finding a partner who understands your soul. Killian and I had written our own vows. When it was my turn, I looked at him, feeling an unwavering certainty. I promise to support your research, I said, even when it takes you to the other side of the world. I promise to celebrate your discoveries and help you through frustrations. I promise to be your partner in saving the oceans we both love. And I promise to build a life with you based on what we value, not what anyone else expects of us. Killian wiped his eyes, his Irish accent thick with emotion. I promise to see you always, to value your mind and your heart equally, to stand beside you as you change the world with your research, to remind you of your worth when you forget it, and to love you exactly as you are, without asking you to be anyone else. We exchanged simple silver rings. We kissed as the sun dipped towards the horizon, painting the sky in gold and pink. Our guests erupted, not in polite applause, but in a roar of genuine, enthusiastic celebration. The reception was right there on the beach. No assigned seating, just a seafood barbecue, long tables, and guests mingling freely. The crew captured conversations between Nobel laureates and graduate students, filmmakers, and research assistants. I watched my mother, clearly bewildered, approach a group. And how do you know the bride? She asked a man passionately discussing deep-sea exploration. Julia? We collaborated on a research paper about coral bleaching. Brilliant mind. Her work will be foundational in this field. He extended his hand. Dr. James Okoya. I teach at Oxford. My mother's face went white. She moved to another group. Julia is one of the most promising young scientists I've met in decades, Dr. Lawrence was saying. Her approach combines rigorous science with innovative thinking. Vanessa stood nearby, her perfect composure finally cracking. She realized she was surrounded by people whose accomplishments dwarfed anything in her social circle. A National Geographic photographer politely asked her, "Are you a scientist too?" "No, I work in marketing," Vanessa replied stiffly. "Oh, how nice," the photographer smiled. Julia's research is so important. We featured her work last year. I saw Gregory pull Vanessa aside, whispering urgently. They were slowly, painfully realizing this wasn't some small, embarrassing wedding. This was a gathering of profoundly significant people. "Your mom just asked me who all these people are," Bethany said at my elbow. I told her they're Julia's friends and colleagues. She looked like she might faint. Good. Killian found me as the bonfire was lit. "Are you happy?" "Extremely. Especially with my family here." I looked at them, standing awkwardly, clearly out of their depth. They're finally seeing what they dismissed for so long. The evening flowed with toasts. Dr. Lawrence spoke of ocean conservation, Professor Okoya of supporting women in science. Killian's mother told an endearing story about him calling home to gush about this amazing scientist. Then Sophia, microphone in hand, approached. "Julia, would you mind saying a few words for the documentary?" I took the mic, suddenly acutely aware that my words would reach far beyond this beach, potentially millions. I want to thank everyone for coming, I began. Most of you here tonight are marine biologists, oceanographers, conservation researchers. You've dedicated your lives to protecting our oceans. I saw my mother's face in the firelight, illuminated by the dawning realization of who these strangers truly were. I grew up feeling invisible. I continued, my voice steady. Like my work didn't matter, my passion for ocean science less valuable than other pursuits. For a long time, I believed that. I thought I was the problem. Killian squeezed my hand. But then I found this community. People who valued questions over appearances. Who measured success by contribution, not status. Who saw worth and dedication to something bigger than ourselves. I looked around at the faces. You taught me that family isn't just about blood. It's about who shows up for you. Who celebrates your victories. Who sees you for who you actually are. The crowd erupted, a wave of heartfelt applause. I handed the mic back to Sophia, who was openly wiping away tears. My father approached first. Julia, I had no idea you knew such distinguished people. Why would you? I asked, my voice calm. You never asked about my work. He flinched. That's not fair, is it? Dad, when was the last time you asked about my research? Showed any interest in what I do? He had no answer. My mother was next, her perfect composure finally cracking. Julia, if we had known you were planning something like this, you would have what? I interrupted. Suddenly cared about my life? Suddenly seen me as worth your attention? Don't be dramatic. We've always cared about you. You uninvited me from Vanessa's wedding because I'd ruined the atmosphere. You implied I was an embarrassment. I never used that word. You didn't have to. You showed me that my entire life. My voice remained level. I'm not angry anymore, Mom. I'm just done. Done trying to earn approval from people who have already decided I'm not worth it. Vanessa appeared, Gregory in tow. Julia, this is all very impressive, but did you really have to plan it right after my wedding? It feels deliberately spiteful. I looked at my sister. Vanessa, I got engaged before you did. I just didn't tell you. And I planned a wedding that reflects what Killian and I value. None of this was about you. Then why the documentary crew? Why all these important people? Why such a big production? This isn't a production. This is my life. These are my friends. This is the community I've built. I gestured to the bonfire, where scientists laughed. I'm sorry if it threatens you that I have something meaningful. But that's not my problem to solve. Gregory chimed in. I think what Vanessa means is, it seems calculated. Like you're trying to prove something. I'm not trying to prove anything to you, I said quietly. I don't need your validation anymore. Any of you. Bethany materialized at my side. I think it's time for you all to leave now. We're family, my mother protested. You excluded me from Vanessa's wedding because I didn't fit your image of perfection, I stated. Now you're excluded from the rest of my celebration because you don't fit my definition of family. Seems fair. They left, finally, climbing into their car, driving away into the darkness. I watched their taillights disappear, feeling nothing but profound relief. The party raged on. Killian's sisters taught Irish drinking songs. A heated debate about deep-sea exploration erupted. The crew captured it all. The laughter, the passion, the warmth. Around midnight, Killian and I walked to the water's edge. No regrets? He asked. None, I said, pulling him close. Marrying you? Best decision I've ever made. And standing up to your family? He teased. Also satisfying to watch. I laughed. I didn't plan for this to be a big statement, you know. I know, he smiled. That's what makes it perfect. You just built something real, and it highlighted how shallow their values are. We stood there listening to the waves, while behind us, our friends celebrated into the night. 6 weeks later, the documentary aired. I was at work when my phone exploded. Within hours, it went viral. Millions of views. Comments flooded in. Most beautiful wedding ever. These are the people making a real difference. The bride is a literal genius, and her family had no idea. Anyone else crying at how she found her real family? Media outlets picked up the story. Headlines screamed, Marine biologist's wedding brings together conservation heroes. The wedding that's inspiring a generation. My research, once confined to academic circles, was now mainstream. My center's website crashed. Interview requests poured in. Dr. Lawrence called, laughing. "Julia, you've done more for ocean conservation awareness in one day than most of us manage in years." My phone buzzed with a message from Bethany. "Have you seen your family's social media?" I hadn't. Curiosity pricked. Vanessa had posted a lengthy statement about how proud she was, how she'd always known I was destined for greatness, complete with old photos. The comments were brutal. "Didn't you just get married? Why is this about you? Your sister wasn't even invited, lol." The performative support is embarrassing. My mother shared the episode, captioning it about her accomplished daughters. The comments were worse. The documentary literally mentions how unsupportive her family was. Maybe show up for your kid before they're famous. The attention didn't fade. It intensified. I was invited to a TED Talk. Publishers wanted books. My Coral Reef project received a massive donation, the donor inspired by the documentary. My inbox overflowed with messages from young women, teachers, environmental organizations. My birth family remained conspicuously silent. No calls, no direct messages, just their increasingly desperate social media posts, each attempting to hitch a ride on my visibility, each met with more skepticism and ridicule. 3 months after the wedding, my mother called. I almost didn't answer, but something compelled me. "Julia," her voice was strained. "We need to talk." "Do we? Please. Coffee." I was curious, and I had nothing left to fear from her. We met at a waterfront cafe. She looked smaller. Her usual imperious confidence diminished. She ordered a latte, avoiding my gaze. "I've been getting calls," she finally said. "From friends, the country club, your father's colleagues about the documentary. About how we treated you." She twisted her napkin. "Someone made a compilation video. All the parts where you talked about feeling invisible, about us not supporting your work. It's been shared everywhere. People recognize us now. They know we're your parents. And that bothers you, Mom." I sipped my coffee, waiting. People are saying terrible things, calling us toxic parents, emotional abusers. Your father's colleagues are asking why he wasn't at your wedding. And Vanessa, her company let her go. Image concerns. Every interview she's had since has gone badly once they realize who she is. Apparently, the video of her looking uncomfortable around actual accomplished people has become a meme. "That's unfortunate," I said neutrally. "Is that all you have to say?" My mother's voice rose, a desperate edge to it. "Your sister lost her job. We're being ostracized. And you just sit there, acting like none of this affects you." "It doesn't affect me. It affects you. Those are consequences of your own choices. We made mistakes, I admit that. But do we really deserve this level of public humiliation?" I set down my cup carefully. "Mom, you uninvited me from Vanessa's wedding because I would ruin the atmosphere. You told me I was an embarrassment. You spent my entire life making me feel worthless because I didn't fit your narrow definition of success. I never meant—" "Yes, you did. You meant every word. You just never expected anyone to care. You thought I'd stay quiet, invisible, forever accepting whatever scraps of attention you'd toss me." I leaned forward. "But I didn't do this to you. I didn't create a documentary to expose you. I just lived my life, celebrated my marriage with people who actually value me, and told my truth. The fact that the world responded the way it did, that's not on me. That's on you. So, you're not going to help us? Help you how? Issue a statement saying you were wonderful parents and I was lying? Pretend everything's fine. You could at least acknowledge publicly that we've reconciled, that we're working on our relationship. But we're not. We haven't reconciled. You haven't apologized, truly apologized, for 31 years of dismissing me. You just upset there are consequences." My mother's face hardened. "You become cruel, Julia." "No," I said. "I become honest. There's a difference." She stood abruptly. "I hope you're satisfied. You've destroyed your sister's career and our family's reputation." "I got married," I said quietly. "That's all I did. Everything else is just the natural result of your own behavior, finally being visible." She left without another word. I finished my coffee alone, watching the ferries cross the gray water, and felt a profound, quiet peace. 2 weeks later, an email from Vanessa. Unlike my mother's call, this one felt different. Julia, I know you probably don't want to hear from me. I don't blame you. I've had a lot of time to think since I lost my job, and I've been watching that documentary. Really watching it. Seeing how our family treated you. Hearing you talk about feeling invisible. I'm ashamed. I was part of that. I benefited from it. I told myself you were just different, but I knew. I knew Mom and Dad treated you terribly, and I let it happen because it meant I stayed the favorite. I'm sorry. I know it's not enough, but I needed to say it. I read it 3 times. A part of me wanted to delete it, to leave her unanswered, but I never wanted to become like them. Vanessa, I wrote back, I appreciate your email. I don't know what our relationship looks like, but I'm willing to talk. Not because I need anything from you, but because you seem to be reflecting, not just managing fallout. We met for lunch. She looked different, less polished, more uncertain. The armor of perfection had cracks. I've been in therapy, she confessed. At first I was angry, but my therapist pushed me to examine my own role. And I realized I've spent my whole life performing. The perfect daughter, the golden child. I never questioned if that role was built on putting you down. She looked at me directly. I'm genuinely sorry, Julia. Not because the documentary made me look bad, but because I participated in hurting you. It was the first real apology I'd ever received from anyone in my family. Thank you, I said. That means something. We talked for 2 hours. Truly talked, perhaps for the first time. She spoke of the pressure of being the favored child, the exhaustion of maintaining their image. I told her about being a ghost in my own family, about finally finding people who saw me. Your wedding looked amazing, she said quietly. Not just the setting, but the people. Everyone looked so genuinely connected. They were. My wedding was beautiful, she admitted, but it wasn't real. A performance for 300 people I barely knew. Gregory and I spent $200,000, and I don't remember feeling happy, just stressed about perfection. Do you love him? I asked. She hesitated. I don't know. I think I love the idea of him, but we barely talk about anything real. I reached across and squeezed her hand. You can change that, you know. Build something authentic. Like I did. Over months, we built a real sisterhood. She divorced Gregory amicably. She took a job at an environmental nonprofit, making less, but genuinely engaged. My parents, however, remained stubbornly unchanged. They issued a public statement, claiming the documentary was edited, that I was dramatic. It spectacularly backfired. The public compared it to the raw footage. The criticism intensified. My father's company retired him early. My mother was ostracized from her social circles. Bethany sent updates. Your mom tried to join a book club. Walked out when they discussed accountability. Meanwhile, my career soared. Increased funding, international conferences, policy proposals. Killian and I bought a house overlooking the water. His family visited. Dr. Lawrence became a regular. We built the life I'd always wanted. One evening, almost a year after the wedding, Killian appeared at my office door, an odd expression on his face. There's someone for you. My father stood on our porch, looking older, smaller. He held a small package. Julia, I hope we could talk. Curiosity won. Come in. Killian tactfully retreated. My father surveyed our home. Books, photos, framed publications. This is nice, he said. Very you. He handed me the package. Inside, my high school science fair trophy. The national competition they'd missed for Vanessa's recital. The one they'd never acknowledged. I stared at it. 16-year-old me, so desperate for their pride. Why now? I asked. He shifted. I've been thinking a lot since the documentary about the kind of father I was. Or wasn't. Your mother and I, we got caught up in a vision of success. Country clubs, corporate careers. We pushed that vision on both of you. Vanessa fit. You didn't. And instead of celebrating that, instead of appreciating your own remarkable path, we treated you like a disappointment. He looked at me directly. That was wrong. I was wrong. Are you apologizing? I'm trying to. I'm not good at this. He rubbed his face. I watched that documentary, Julia, alone. After your mother went to bed, I saw myself through your eyes. The father who missed your graduation, who never asked about your research, who wasn't at your wedding. who made his daughter feel invisible. His voice cracked. I can't undo 31 years of being a bad father. I know that, and I'm not here to ask for forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that I see it now. What I did, what I failed to do. Why now? Because of the public attention? Because people are judging you? Partly, he admitted. I won't lie. The criticism hurt. But also, I saw you in that documentary with those accomplished people, with Killian's family, your colleagues. I saw you happy, Julia, in a way I'd never seen before. And I realized I didn't know you at all. My own daughter, and I had no idea who she really was. You never asked, I said. No, I never asked. His hands trembled. I don't expect this to fix anything, but I needed to say it, to truly apologize. Not to manage optics, but because you deserved better. We sat in silence. I turned the trophy in my hands. Thank you for saying that, I finally said. It doesn't erase the past, but it matters. Is there any chance? He asked. Could we try to build something now? I considered carefully. Maybe, but it would have to be real, Dad. No performing. No pretending the past didn't happen. If you want to know me, you have to actually be interested in my life, my work, the things I care about. I like that, he nodded, standing. At the door, he turned. For what it's worth, that wedding looked beautiful. And those people, what they said about you and your work. I should have been saying those things your whole life. Killian emerged. How do you feel? Honestly, I'm not sure. I looked at the trophy. Part of me wants to believe he's genuine. Part of me thinks it's just damage control. Maybe it's both. People are complicated. My therapist would say you don't owe him anything, that you can choose not to engage. I know. What do you want? I took a breath. I want to be open to the possibility that people can change without being naive. I want to protect myself without becoming bitter. That seems wise. Over the next few months, my father made genuine, quiet efforts. He asked about my research, and he actually listened. He even read my published papers, though I'm sure much of it went over his head. He met Killian properly, treating him with respect. My mother, however, remained resolute in her victimhood, convinced the world had wronged her. Vanessa, though, built something real. She divorced Gregory, found a job, an environmental nonprofit, and we slowly became the sisters we always should have been. The documentary continued to change lives, mine included. I received letters from countless people, thanking me for showing them that a fulfilling life beyond toxic family dynamics was possible. The documentary won awards, spawned new series. I was invited to advise on national conservation policy. My research team expanded. Killian and I started talking about starting our own family, determined to do better than the models we'd been given. My mother never recovered socially. Her friends drifted away. She became isolated, bitter, always blaming the world, never herself. My father and I maintained a tentative, genuine relationship. And as for me, I stood on a research vessel in the vast Pacific, watching the sun set over waters I was helping to protect, surrounded by colleagues who valued my contributions, married to a man who saw me completely. I finally understood. The best revenge wasn't the viral documentary or the public consequences my family faced. The best revenge was building a life so fulfilling, so meaningful, so authentically mine, that their approval had become utterly irrelevant. I hadn't just proven them wrong. I had proven to myself that I never needed them to be right. What about you? Have you ever had to build your own family, your own community, away from the one you were given? Or maybe you've had a moment where you realized their approval just didn't matter anymore. Tell me what you think in the comments below. I really want to know.